Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In this video, we are going to see the first basic action, that is the assignment. So, for or as definition, we can say that an assignment consists of placing a value in a variable belonging to its domain. It means نضع قيمة داخل متغير بنفس النوع. Okay? It is represented by the sign equal, and be careful. One equal, it means the assignment. It means that we put a value inside a variable, and if we write two equals, it means we want to know if, for example, x equal to y or not, and it is a Boolean expression which has as a value true or false. I repeat then, for assignment we use only one equal. Okay? We have two types of assignments. So we have a simple assignment when we use only the equal, and we have a compound assignment operator. So we have equal beside another arithmetic operator. Let's start by a simple assignment operator, only one equal. This operator equal is used to assign the value of the right to the variable on the left. So القيمة اللي تكون على اليمين توضع للمتغير الموجود على اليسار. And we have three possible forms for the simple assignment. So we can have a variable that receives either constant or literal. كيقول constant معناتها ثابت، وكيقول literal معناتها قيمة. والقيمة كذلك تقدر تكون إما string or character between apostrophes, or an integer, or a float value, or Boolean value. Okay? So for example here, the variable x receives the value of pi, which is the value of a circle, which is 3.14, 15, etc. And we can put also literal, like a Boolean value. Here variable a receives the value false. And we can put an integer value, for example 3. So a receives 3. Okay. The second form of assignment is of simple assignment is that a variable receives a variable. For example, y receives x. It means that y, the variable y, receives the value of x. In this way, we can say that y it's a copy of x، يعني نسخة من x، يحمل نفس قيمة x. And we read it y receives x، يعني y يأخذ قيمة x. Okay. The third writing is to write a variable receives expression. For example, y receives x plus y by z, or a receives a Boolean expression x greater than 2. Okay. So في كل حالة كما قلت، فعلى اليمين القيمة اللي حتكون عندك ستوضع في المتغير الموجود على اليسار. be careful, always on the left we have only a variable, but on the right we can have a constant, a value, a literal, another variable, or an expression. Okay? Let's go now to the compound assignment operator. The assignment operator equal is combined with a binary arithmetic operator like plus, minus, start, division, and percent for a modulus. So we have an arithmetic operator followed by an equal to perform a combination of two operations in one single statement. So in this way, it means that we are going to do two operations. The syntax will be, so we have at the beginning the variable identifier, يعني اسم المتغير, followed by the arithmetic operator. Then we have the assignment equal. Then we can put either a constant or literal, يعني قيمة, another variable, or an expression. Okay. So I give you some examples here. If I write x plus receives 3, it is equivalent to x receives x plus 3. Okay? We can say that x plus receives 3 is just another writing for x receives x plus 3. Okay. The second example, we have y percent equal to, it is equivalent to y receives y percent 2. Okay. So هذه تعتبر كتابة مختصرة للكتابة الأصلية. Okay. صح. We go now to the increment operator. In C++, we have an increment operator, which is a unary operator. When we say that we have a unary operator, it means an operator applied on one operand. يعني عملية تطبق على عدد واحد أو variable واحدة أو متغير واحد. Okay. يعني تطبق على variable واحدة وليس على اثنين. So the symbol used to represent the increment operator is plus plus. The increment operator increases the value stored in the variable by 1. يعني ما الذي يقوم به العملية plus plus؟ فتقوم بإضافة واحد للمتغير المقصود. We have two types of increment operator. So we have the post increment and the pre-increment. Let's start by the post-increment operator. The syntax will be, we put first the variable identifier, اسم المتغير, then we have plus plus. صح. القاعدة كيف تعمل هذه العملية؟ صح. تقول لك هنا the post-increment operator says that, يعني مبدأ العمل. First, أول حاجة, use the value for the operation. يعني إذا كان عندك عملية أخرى من غير البوست increment فتقوم بها أولا. Then we increment the value of the variable by 1. Donc أعيد. هنا نريد قيام بعملية the post increment يعني plus plus. فإذا كانت هنالك عملية أخرى مثلا assignment واحدة أخرى مثلا another operation like assignment. We start by taking the value of initial value of the variable for the assignment and we increment the variable. Okay. So I give you an example. So here we have initially y receives 4. Okay. So y قيمتها 4. And we have x receives y plus plus. It's a post increment operator. So here we remark that we have y plus plus. It's a post increment operator. Okay. So here we have two operations. We have the post incrementation of y and we have the assignment of the result in assignment of value in x. صح. By what should I start? Should I start by the assignment or the incrementation of y? If I read the rule here, يقول لك باللي first use the value. So we use the value of y in the assignment, then we can increment the value of y plus 1. So this instruction x receives y plus plus is equivalent to x receives y, and first x receives the previous value of y, which is 4. Then y is incremented by 1. Y is incremented by 1. And don't forget that y plus plus, it means that y is incremented by 1. So at the end, we obtain x equal 4, which is the initial value of y, and we have y equal to 5. Okay? Let's move to the second type of increment operator. We have the pre-increment operator. In this case, the syntax will be, so we start by plus plus, then we put the identifier of the variable. Okay? The rule says, القاعدة تقول في الحالة هذه, the pre-increment operator says that first we must increment the value of the variable by 1, then we can use it for the operation. It means that if I use this pre-incrementation in beside another operation like assignment, for example, so we start first by incrementation of the variable, and we put the last value after incrementation in the variable that receives a new value. Okay, we have this example. So in this example, we have y receives 4, which is the initial value of y. It's 4. Then we have x receives plus y. So we have here the pre-incrementation of y. Okay, so in the second operation, do we start by the assignment, it means x receives y, or we start by the incrementation of y, then we do the assignment. صح. If I read carefully the rule, I must start here by incrementation of the variable. It means I increment first the value of y, then the final value of y will be copied in x. So this instruction is equivalent to y receives y plus 1 كما قلت y نزيد بها 1. Then after that the last value of y, which is 5 after the incrementation, is copied in x. So at the end we obtain y equal to 5 and x receives the same value as y, which is 5. So both of them contain the same value 5. So لو كان نقارن بين العمليتين، فالأولى تقول لك بأنه تستعمل ثم تزيد واحد للمتغير، أما الحالة الثانية فنزيد واحد ثم نستعمل القيمة. Okay? The same thing can be said on the decrementation operator. Okay? So here we have two forms. We have the post-decrement operator and we have the pre-decrement operator. So if I start by the first case, which is the post-decrement operator, if I take the same example, y receives 4 and x receives y minus minus. Here it is equivalent to, I must start by copying the value of y, which is 4 in x, then we do the decrementation of y by 1. So the final result will be x receives the previous value of y, which is 4, then we decrement y by 1, and the final value of y will be 3. For the second form, which is the pre-decrement operator, we have minus minus, then the identifier of the variable. If I take the same example, so here we have y receives 4, then we have x receives minus minus y. So the value of y is 4, and for the second statement, we must start by doing the pre-decrementation of y. It means that y receives y minus 1. Then the last value of y will be copied in x. So this instruction is equivalent to y receives y minus 1, then x receives y. هنا ترتيب مهم جدا. Okay? So لما نلاحظ هنا, if I take this, remark that here the order is this, and in this case the order is this. It's the inverse. It's the inverse. Okay? So in the second case كما قلنا هنايا, we start by decrementing the value of y by 1. So the final value of y will be 3. Then we copy the value of y in x, which is 3. So both of them equal 3. Now we pose this problem. The problem consists to enroll this portion of the program. صح. لما نقول enroll معناتها ننفذ ما جاء في البرنامج خطوة بخطوة وباليد. So in this case, we are going to draw this table. In this table, in the first column, we put all the instructions that we have. In this, the other columns, we put the variables that we have in this portion. So we have a column for the variable y, another column for the variable x, another column for x1, and another column for y1. Okay? Let's start by the first statement here. We have y receives 2. Y receives 2, it means that in the column of y, in the memory, in the central memory, we put the value 2 on the variable y. Okay? So we have 2 in y. Let's move on the second operation. So here we have x receives y plus plus. صح. According to what we said before, so here we have two operations. What is the equivalent of this statement? So we must start by doing the incrementation because we have post-incrementation. Then we do the assignment. So the equivalent is we start by copying the value of y in x. Then we increment the value of y by 1. Okay? Donc في حالة post incrementation, we start by copying y in x, then we increment y by 1. So in this case, we start by x receives y. It means x receives the same value as y, which is 2. Then we increment y by 1. When we increment y by 1, it means that we are going to erase the previous value of y and we put the new value which is 3. Donc هنا لازم نمسح القيمة القديمة ونحط القيمة الجديدة. So now, for now, the value of y is 3. Okay? Let's move to the next instruction. So here we have a compound assignment using the multiplication. So we have x start equal 2 or receives 2. So it is equivalent to say x receives x times 2. So it means we are going to double the value of x. So we have already the value 2 and now we are going to double the value of x. So the final value will be 4 and we cross across the previous value of x. Let's move on the next operation. So in the next statement we have here 4 operations. So we have the pre-incrementation of y, and we have the addition between y and x, and we have the assignment of the result in x1. So if I want to write this statement clearly in details, so at the first position we must start by doing the pre-incrementation. It means that we increment the value of y by 1. Then after this we take the value of y and we add the value of x. The total will be assigned to the variable x1. Donc أول شيء هنا كما قلت نزيد واحد لقيمة الواي، ثم نتيجة الجمع بين واي وإكس أكيد أنه حتكون قيمة بعد الإضافة لواحد لواي، نزيد لها قيمة إكس والنتيجة النهائية نوضعها داخل x1. So we start by incrementing the value of y. So the new value of y will be 4. Then we do the assignment of the expression in x1. So x1 receives the value of y, which is 4 plus x, and we have 4 plus 4, it's 8 in x1. Okay, let's move on the next operation. In the next operation we have just an assignment of an expression. So we have y1 receives x1 minus 1, but the value of x1 is 8, so 8 minus 1 it gives us 7. 7 is copied in y1, so y1 receives 7. For the next operation we have y1 slash receives 2, and slash it means the quotient of the division. Okay, so here the equivalent of this operation is to do y1, the new value of y1 is the previous value of y1 divided by 2. Okay, since now we know that the value of y1 is an integer and its value is 7. So here it consists to calculate 7 by 2, and we said in the lesson that when we divide an integer by an integer, we do an integer division. It means that the result will be without a point, without a comma. Okay, so in this case we divide 7 by 2 and the result will be 3 and not 3.5. Okay, 7 by 2 give us 3, not 3.5. So the new value of y1 will be 3 and not 3.5, since y1 is an integer. Okay, the last instruction, it's the most complicated statement. Here, so what we have here, we have a compound assignment with a minus as operator, and we have a post incrementation of y1. Okay, so what is the first thing to do? What is the first thing to do? I give you here a simple example. If I write this, for example, I write x minus receives 2. What is the equivalent of this statement? The equivalent of this statement is that x receives x minus 2. X minus 2. Okay? And if I have other thing instead of 2, if I have, for example, an expression, whatever, an expression, so it means that x receives x minus the value of the expression. Okay, so here what we have We have x minus receives y1 minus minus. Do we start by the post decrementation of y1 or by the assignment? صح. The rule says that in case of post incrementation, we must start by copying by taking the value, then we decrement the value of y1. Okay. So here the equivalent of this equation, we start by doing the assignment, and we have already a compound assignment here. So what we are going to do, we are going to write x receives x minus y1, which is the previous value of y1. Then we do the decrementation of y1 by 1. Okay, so it is equivalent to say x receives x minus y1. y1, it is the expression that is that exists in the right. Okay, so x receives x minus the value of this expression, which is y1. Then we do the decrementation of y1 by 1. So if I start by the first part, the new value of x is the previous value of x, which is 4, minus y1, which is 3. So the final result of x will be 1, because 4 minus 3. And we decrement the value of y1 by 1, and we obtain 2. I think it's clear, and I advise you to review the video many times to be able to understand clearly the assignment and their use cases. Okay, see you next.